Well, yeah, so yeah, like the introduction already said, we are from Rotterdam, the Netherlands. My name is Hugo de Boon. This is Koen Meerkerk. And yeah, the title of our company already says it all. We make leather from fruits, more specifically from mangoes. And we started our company in 2015 after graduating from the art academy. So we're actually just two art students with a passion for turning something which is valueless into something valuable. And yeah, we'll tell you about our story. Oh, I need the clicker, by the way.
Oh, yeah. I think the golden circle. We have like a golden circle. Maybe it didn't come over, but yeah, we normally have like a golden circle, which we learned on the Academy of Art. Within the middle, the why you do what you do. And for us, that was the most important thing. When we were studying in the Academy of Art, we were at the building next to the market square. And on this market square, we saw literally from our window, we saw all the fruits were being wasted at the end of the market days. And our assignment on school was to come up with an idea to reach maximum exposure. And that could be like everything. It was like a free assignment, and we brainstormed, what can we do? And we saw this problem. And we actually, we realized that there is a world where resources are becoming more and more scarce. And we had to come up with an idea. And then we have like the how, what are you gonna do with it? And we collected all these fruits, and after researching, we also saw that the market vendors needed to pay 12 cents a kilo to get rid of their waste. So there is a source that you get, like a resource for your product, but normally people pay you for your resource. And if you compare this with like the linear economy, you would never get paid for your resource. So this was so interesting for us, and we had to come up with an idea to turn these fruits into something that is valuable. And that's like the common drive Hugo and I do have. It's nice to put something valueless into something valuable. And like the biggest contrast is something we find we really appreciate as designers. So we came up with this process, the how. We created some steps in which we process these fruits by meshing into a giant fruit puree and make it into a material by smearing it on a specific surface and to dry it. And then the what product do you have? We make fruit leather, so as an alternative to leather. And our aim is actually to apply it in different industries, like the furniture, the fashion industry, and the accessory industry.
Automotive.
Automotive, yeah.
But yeah, after looking at more of the facts, so we first started at the market, like Koen already explained. But the problem is a lot bigger than your local market, because I mean, yeah, most of the things get sold, but you know, the things that get sold towards the supermarkets, towards the big chains, the amount of waste that they produce is way larger than those small market vendors. So we started doing some more research. Some of you might know Rotterdam has one of the biggest harbors in the world. It used to be the biggest in the world. Now I think it's Singapore or something. But so we have a lot of cargo coming in, and food waste. There's about 1.3 billion tons of food being wasted a year. So that's worldwide, you know, from all forms of food. But fruit is one of the biggest issues. I mean, you guys have all probably thrown away a banana that's gotten a bit rotten, you know. You throw it in the bin without really, you know, turning your head and thinking about what you're actually doing. So we figured out that 45% of all the fruit that we're producing, fruits and vegetables, are eventually being thrown away. So you can imagine if you have two bananas, you technically throw one away. And the chain where it starts, there's about 30% of the fruit that's being harvested is being thrown away, because, let's be honest, we have a really, really high standard here in Europe. We're all, you know, not to be rude, but we're all very, very spoiled compared to the rest of the world. We need like a perfect fruit. In Holland, we even have like a color code for oranges and mandarins and stuff like that. If they aren't the perfect color orange, they're not gonna be, they're not worthy to go to the supermarkets. And this way, all that fruit is being wasted during harvest. So that's when 30% is being thrown away. So we are using 30% of the agricultural ground to produce fruits, which we eventually already throw away during harvest, which is pretty scary figures. And then during transport, there's a whole lot of fruit being thrown away as well, between 8 to 10% approximately. So all the fruit that's being shipped over from the country where it's being harvested eventually gets thrown away during transport. That's where we come in, because everything comes through Rotterdam, because we got such a big harbor, about 8.5 million. Wait, I need to get this right. No, it's not on the slide. But there's a lot of cargo coming in to Rotterdam, and we are able to intercept that. In general, all this fruit that we do receive is further exported into countries like Finland, Germany, you name it. And we try to really stop that, try and intercept that 8 to 10% of the food waste coming in. So here we have that slide. There's about 46.5 million metric tons of mangoes being produced worldwide. So this is our main resource. A lot of those mangoes eventually come to Holland. Holland is one of the world's biggest importers of mangoes, but like I said, Holland's a giant. Rotterdam has a giant harbor, and it's all being exported further into Europe from there. So that's kind of like our resource. That's where all our fruits are coming from.
If we have a look into this slide, you see all the chains, the chains where fruits are being wasted. So fruits are being wasted through all these different stages. So agriculture, post-harvest, processing, distribution, and consumption. And actually, the yellow circle you see on the left side, that is actually the part that we are trying to intercept in Rotterdam. So you see all these fruits coming into this harbor, and the Netherlands as a hub to re-export these fruits. So that's super interesting. But if you see only this small area, with the yellow circle, there is a whole lot of more potential worldwide. So we are actually next slide. We are actually calculating how much fruits we can intercept. And if you look into the Netherlands, you see that 159,000 tons of mangoes are being imported in the Netherlands. So that's a whole lot. And if we take this 8% from that, we can turn that into more than 700,000 square meters of fruit leather. So that's only in the Netherlands with this 8% and only with the mangoes. We've worked in the past with all different kind of fruits when we were at the Academy of Art, but we have seen that the mango is working good because of the long fibers, and there's not that much moisture in there. So we have a lot of material in the end because you have to get rid of the moisture. And within the principles of the circular economy, we also think that there shouldn't be waste in our processes as well. So, for instance, we destone these kind of mangoes, and the stone is also valuable for the next person because there are oils in there, and that could be an opportunity for the next person. And also this moisture, we have a beer brewery in our building. It's called Blue City, our building, and it's in the middle of Rotterdam, in the city center. It's an old abandoned swimming pool, and we have all kind of startups there working within the principles of the circular economy. And for instance, this moisture which we get out of the fruits can be a mango beer. So there shouldn't be waste, and only if we use the mangoes we can already make this kind of amounts of square meters. So it's insane. But actually, as I said, like the problem is even much bigger abroad. We can intercept so many more mangoes, for instance. I was tagged in a LinkedIn post from the local farmers. Somebody visited Burkina Faso in Africa. And this was actually the picture in the LinkedIn where I was tagged, where all these mangoes were thrown away already. And they let them rot in the sun. And the problem is even so much bigger there. and they were searching for opportunities there to turn it into something valuable and to maybe have some extra income for the local farmers there. So we got a lot of interest from all over the world where the problem is so much bigger. And we are actually thinking about fully developing this technique in the Netherlands because we have the right equipment and the right knowledge. And once that's done, we can maybe have some production in these kind of areas as well. But you see, 89% of all these mangoes are produced in the developing countries, and 80% is imported by the developed countries. So also, because of there's so much import, there's also much waste in this change of distribution. But it's actually mainly concentrated in Asia. 40% of the global production is concentrated in India. So this gives us an insight that there's many more mangoes in India as well. So might can go there in the future. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so we aren't only trying to prevent food waste, because that was like our initial thought, to find a new purpose for the food waste. But we are also trying to tackle a different problem at the same time, and that's the leather industry. So we're actually combining two things. We're using the problem of food waste to find a solution within the polluting leather industry. As you guys might know a bit of about leather tanning, it's a very process where a lot of chemicals get used. And in some countries, in more developed countries, those processes are very much regulated. So they're keeping a good eye on how you are using your wastewater, how you're getting rid of it. But in the most countries where the leather is really all coming from places like India and you name it, there's a whole different view on how they should get rid of their waste. So they are just getting rid of their chemicals into the local rivers. There's people like literally getting their water from those local rivers, cleaning themselves in those local rivers, and eventually you're flooding them with dangerous chemicals. And this is it's a very strange thing to do, because why would you pollute anyone's main resource for water or whatever, So that's it's a bit of a scary industry. But now we are really trying to combine the two. There's about 18 billion square meters of leather being produced each year, and we've come to realize that 65 billion kilos of CO2 is being used in the production of leather. So if we are able to somewhat minimize that and turn that into a smaller number, then we're already doing a good job. And like I said, we're also solving the food waste problem. So it's kind of like two birds with one stone in this case.
We also got like a lot of interest also from PETA or Greenpeace, these kind of companies, because it's also less harmful for the animals as well. So we can have a solution for that as well. But I think it's interesting to talk a bit about our processes, because everyone is thinking like, how can you make like a leather-like material out of these kind of fruits?
Yeah, we've developed the process over a pretty long time now. At least after we graduated, it's not that long. But we had a lot of ups and downs. So we have a bit of extra time for this presentation. So we're gonna discuss all the fucked up moments that we had, and there's a lot of them. So when we started at the like we already mentioned, we started at the Academy of Art. It was very, we took over a classroom, but we were kind of dumb enough to decide to take over a classroom on the 5th floor, and we only had an elevator going to the 3rd floor. So to begin with, we were already like carrying like tons of fruits up the stairs, And there was one time that really sticks out. We actually, there was this one guy. It was a really annoying kind of guy at the market, and we always had to take everything he had. If we wanted fruits, we had to take everything, always garbage. And at a certain moment, we had like a whole pallet of nectarines, and we destoned 1,600 nectarines by hand, like that night, in that classroom. And then, half that paste and all that stuff that just ended up on the floor. It was the most disgusting classroom that you could ever imagine. Those were kind of the typical things that we started with. We also actually once carried a whole bunch of watermelons up the stairs. and we have to get rid of the water in our product, and we only ended up with like a handful of puree. And that's when we decided, okay, maybe we should just stick to mangoes for the time being, because, you know. But yeah, so to start the process, we have to get rid of the seeds. We actually have a special machine for that now. We used to just literally just do it all by hand, and then mash it with well, it started off with a €2 kitchen blender that my mom once bought me. Then we went to a a 20 euro wood chipper, and then we went to a very expensive mango destoning machine, which also has a funny story. Well, it's not really funny, but we went to Slovenia to pick up this machine. We waited like 3 months for it to be manufactured, and then eagerly we waited for it to arrive in Rotterdam. But like the guy was late, and we needed a forklift to get the machine out of the truck. But we didn't have the forklift anymore because the guy was late. So then the driver decided to just tip the machine kind of like out of the truck, you know, and he tried to stop it, and then like 700 kilos of steel just flipped out of this thing, you know, and we just, you know, we could have just said like, okay guys, come back tomorrow, we'll have a forklift. But no, we were so eager. I signed the papers right away for transport, you know, fucked up myself. And then eventually, you know, we were, I think, 3 months further, and we actually had the machine running again. So that's kind of like the stupid things we do as young entrepreneurs, you know. We did learn from it. But
in Blue City, you also have like an event. It's called Fucked Up Nights, because you have to you learn more from all the fucked up moments from all the entrepreneurs than hearing the success stories all the time, because it's a success. So you need to it's a kind of cool event we might take into consideration to do. But actually, the shoes are also on display here. But it's nice to see how you go from fruits from the harbor to a shoe in the end. That's actually how we end up here, because the Council of Rotterdam was wearing these shoes on an event in Oslo, where the people from the Dutch embassy have seen us, and that's how we came here in the end. So there's a Discovery Channel episode made by Destruction. If you're interested in that, you have to follow the socials, and you will see the video there. There are some stills of this process, and so as Hugo said, we turn this in a huge puree. Like fruits are flying everywhere into our space, and actually we have to get rid of the moisture in the fruits. So we bought also like these huge beer kettles, where we pump all the puree into these kettles. And like the easiest way to get rid of your moisture is just to wait, because the gravity takes away a lot of moisture, and
it separates the fibers. They start floating on top, also due to like fermentation and stuff. So the fibers rise up, and the liquids come down. And then at the moment we are just filtering out all the liquid. But like Koen mentioned earlier, we also have a beer brewer in our building, and technically you could take that the mango juice and like how do you call it? Like clean it, you know, boil it, and then you technically have like a mango liquor, you know, like kind of like moonshine. But we're not allowed to produce that. So, but that's one of the waste streams we have, and then
we smear it into we have like this huge paste, and that was actually our something we developed for the last 4 years to find out what can we put what kind of natural additives we can put into this puree with a huge mixer to make the characteristics of the material better and better, because it needs to withstand all the characteristics that normal leather do have, because we found out that every design has its own characteristics. So for instance, if you're making like shoes out of it, it should have like tear resistance and flexibility, all these kind of resistances. So actually we are like graduated as designers, so we did all kind of stupid stuff just to try figuring out how we can make like the perfect recipe, which we eventually dry after, and that turns into like a raw sheet of material. And then also, as I said, we had to create exposure. Our story came into the local newspaper, and some guy called Frans, he's working at a huge company called Staal in the Netherlands. They're working within the leather industry for such a long time, and he could help us also with the aesthetics of the material to make it more look like leather. But sometimes you also don't want the material to look like leather because it's a different material. So there's a whole kind of argumenting thing, what the material should look like. But we decided to supply both materials. So once you see all the fibers, and once you paint or dye in a specific color to make it more commercially attractive for some people.
Yeah, we actually partnered up with like a really big leather company, one that develops coatings for textiles, but like mainly coatings for leather within the automotive industry. This is Frans, the guy in the middle. He's really like our, he's really our hero. You know, like he helped us a lot. Like he first saw the article. He invited us over to their campus. Sadly, he's retired now. You know, so Frans is no longer with us. But he really developed all the coatings, the patterns, and how you could really make that into a more eventually into a more industrialized product. And also with Staal, we are able to test a lot of the material. We are able to do, tear strength tests, rubbing tests, you name it. But it's also the beginning of our scale up. So at the moment we are in this phase. You can explain
actually,
this?
we decided to go step by step. So have like a product XYZ, where the characteristics of the material still in the developing stage and develop more and more, but also we are scaling the production. So we are still at a scale where we can produce 60 by 40 centimeter sheets. But our aim is to find the right industry and find the right partners or buy the right machinery to make it on a roll in the end. And like on the left side, you see some key change we made out of this mango material. Because at the beginning, because there is so much hand labor, we decided to start with the small products. There's not that much material in there, but it's telling the story already, and we can we have a starting point selling this material and become more financially stable as a startup to develop more and more. And the middle picture is like a bag we make together with a company Luxtra in London, a bag company, and we are actually in the middle stage. The current stage is the Y stage, where we try to find different designers, which products can we make already, and where we still improve the characteristics of the material. And the Z stage is the last stage, and we know that, for instance, the leather for the car industry that has to last for like 10 or 20 years for a car, for instance. But that's like the hardest thing to reach. But that's our last goal, to develop these characteristics so in a way that we can make this material to last for these kind of times.
So yeah, I just passed around some samples. It was the initial thought to just like throw them into the crowd and see whoever catches it can keep them. But Koen has to do another presentation and he needs them, so I need those back. But we also want to be very transparent. With the backings at the moment, we are selling them to the open market. So they are just available in our web shop. This is not like a little sales talk, but all I want to say is that at the moment, to really like make sure and make it like a risk-free product for the open market, we did add a polyester-based backing to it at the moment. We also provide the material with more natural backing, such as cork or cotton or linen or whatever. But at the moment, we are selling it with a polyester-based backing because we have to make sure that if we do sell it and we do not know who we're selling it to, for instance, if someone wants to use it for a shoe, then you really need to make your product like, how do you call it? Idiot-proof, you know what I mean? So you can't really break it, and that's what so that's, at the moment, there is a polyester-based backing on it. We can make different varieties of fruit leather. So we have made completely natural ones with literally fruit fiber still inside of the material as a reinforcement. but we've also, we can either make it like into a beige sheet. We can turn it into just natural black, but we can also technically paint it any color we want. But that's what is it? Then it's a less natural product than when you would make it without the dyed products. Like I said, we do a lot of testing. So here you can see a couple of graphs. It's maybe, it's not really interesting if you don't know what it's about. But we do a lot of testing to really see what grade our material has at the moment. That way we can see for what market it is ready. At the moment we can really do a lot for upholsteries for furniture. We actually just made a couple chairs as well with our fruit leather on it. And this is our way to really keep on seeing what improvements we've reached, because you need the numbers to go with the results. So here's some more tests. And here is.
This is quite interesting because we have a designer's perspective, but we are working as a supplier at the moment of the material. So we're not designing ourselves, but finding the right designers to make some kind of design out of this material. And the shoes that are on display here are made with these old men that were on their retirement already, and they were making shoes for around 60 years. Back in the days, like the whole shoe industry was located in Waalwijk, which is a place in the Netherlands. And later on, all these kind of industries went to the countries in Asia, for instance. And these people wanted to try to get the shoe industry back to the Netherlands, this place in the Netherlands, because there is a lot of knowledge, but then with the new materials, so they do a lot of it with 3D printing, but also with materials like ours. And we made the direct connection with the designers to see what are maybe the problems during the design processes, and what are the opportunities, and maybe review what we could do as a supplier of the material to help the designers in the end to make the nice designs. So as a designer, you can also work in this direction, and we made actually these kind of shoes which are on display. So I think it's nice to go and see these shoes from the Rotterdam Harbor, from the mountains. Yeah.
That was our presentation.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
So guys, let's see how many new fans you have in the audience.
Yes. You guys know it. It's Fruitleather Rotterdam on Instagram and Facebook. So
I know Koen has to soon continue to the design diplomacy event in the Embassy of Netherlands. But before I let you go, I must ask, did you ever vision yourselves, when going with the elevator at school, carrying your watermelons, where this project would take you?
I think maybe not. Actually, at the beginning, because we started this assignment, and we both were a bit late with graduating, because I did a longer internship. Hugo likes to woodwork also, so the
director of our school always asked her, "Are you guys the losers or the heroes of the school?"
Yeah, that's what he asked us.
So.
You never answered.
We didn't answer. He can decide himself.
I must say, I envy you. I rarely envy people, but I do envy. First of all, I'd like to be 20-something, and at the same time be creating a sort of breakthrough new leather type, which is then the fruit leather, and be drinking mango beer from morning to evening. I'm a big mango lover, and I could also smell the smell of fruit. Not so much mango, but the sort of smell of fruit. The pieces are there. By the way, please collect them back, because he has to have them with him when he continues to the embassy. But I think this is something very bold for you to stand before a very established, as you said yourself, very established industry, leather industry. And the fact is that the big old guys, maybe ladies as well, representing leather industry, they are at the moment maybe laughing at your product and say, these guys think they are coming up with something new. I actually would bet for your business, and I think I'd be happy to invest in it. I think you have a great career in front of you, and as you said, you're learning very rapidly. I will let you now go, and I think we'll continue for a small moment. It was a great pleasure meeting you. Good luck with the future projects. I'll keep my eye on you.
You can answer all the questions, I'm pretty sure.
Thanks a lot, and good luck with the next event.
Succes, Pek.
Yep.
Really inspiring. If you had to mention one brand that you'd like to cooperate with in the future, what would that brand be? If there is a big, dominating...
That's a good question. I personally, I'm really a fan of Adidas, of course. But yeah, that would be fun. But I think it's also just nice to be, like we already said, to really reach the automotive industry. And that's also because if we reach the automotive industry, it doesn't really matter what car brand, I don't even have a license. Koen drives me everywhere. But if we were able to reach that, then we technically reached our goal. So it's not really a specific brand that we want to work with. However, we are in the phase that partnering up with a brand so that we can actually have an offset each month is necessary for the development of our company. And so yeah, it doesn't need to be a specific one, but we've had companies actually come to us that are completely outside of our concept, like companies are using exotic leathers in their bags and stuff like that,
Yes.
And it would be actually pretty fun to also cooperate with them to also show the world that you don't need a luxury skin from a crocodile, for instance, to have a luxury product. And that's also to just kind of like mislead people, like, haha, you're wearing waste, but you don't know it.
That's actually an interesting thing, the whole concept of luxury. I think it's rapidly changing what we experience is luxury, actually. So that's a very, very good point. If you think of, again, I'm amazed. Like we heard previously about some other startups that have managed, in a very short period of time, to bring their products into market. The same thing with you. I'm sort of blown away with the fact that you have a lot of goodwill and you have this idea, and then you are actually able to turn it into something concrete. Not saying that it's
it's
totally
still definitely not finished.
Not commercialized in that sense, but still in a very, very short period of time. Now, if you think of you at the moment, what kind of expertise would you like to gain, or what kind of people would you like to join your business?
Well, right now, like we said, we're really just the designer part. So we came up with the idea, and over the years, we actually built up a network with people like Frans, who helped us develop. But we're also we're also working with a chemist. My dad is actually involved in the company now as well. It's like a whole bonding experience. And but yeah, we're really looking at the bio-design and also seeing in what ways we can turn it into a more industrial process. So industrial designers are always welcome as well, because right now, we said, we're doing it on a very small scale. We're only producing 5 square meters of the material at the moment, and there's also companies that are also making alternative leathers, but they're using 50% plastic and then dry fibers. But they already have the opportunity to make 10 kilometers of material in a day. So those are the kind of things we have to, those are our competitors. So it would be really interesting to see how can we, within a fast pace, how can we turn it into a more industrial process? How can we really make the chemical or the biochemistry behind it, turn it into a perfect, how do you say, like a strong material without the polyester backing and things like that. That's kind of the stage we're looking into now.
Yes, definitely. Audience, any questions to this young talent? Anything you come? Yes, please.
Hey, thank you. It was very interesting, and good luck with this project. And I wanted to ask, because I saw on the video that you're cutting the leather. So I was thinking if you had thought of this idea, or maybe in future you could do so that you could make it straight to the pattern of the product that it will end up, so that there wouldn't be waste.
Yeah, it's a very good comment, because we actually thought about that as well. You've seen, we smeared onto onto like a glass plate at the moment. That's the way we dry it, so it's really just like a straight sheet. But technically, if you think about it, if you were to, for instance, if we wanted to make like a leather jacket, we could maybe just create a shape of a leather jacket and pour the mango puree in there. The only thing is, I'm not the one that's going to make the leather jacket. I'm the one that's going to be supplying the material for the people who are going to make the leather jacket or the shoes or whatever. So it would have to be, those are the kind of things we would be able to do if we are able to partner up with a company and make large amounts for a certain someone. Because to make, for like a single, designer, to really make like a sheet of fruit leather in their desired shape is almost impossible. But it's a really good thought to exactly have no waste, because a large portion of the leather used in like traditional leather is eventually like cut off parts, because like the cow or whatever animal you use is a very odd shape, you know. So I'm gonna do upholstery of a cow, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, that.
That's a good answer. Any other questions? Anywhere in the audience? Yes.
Hi, as a kind of a material brand, are you targeting to replace leather? Sort of that this is leather kind of made of different raw materials, or are you targeting to create a new material which is kind of leather-like, but you wouldn't even call it leather?
It's a good one, because we are producing new material, and we got a lot of comments like, why are you branding it with leather? But the reason we're doing that is because it's easy to speak to our audience, you know, because if we say biomaterial, people always think like, oh, what is this, you know, what is this biomaterial? We don't know, they can't really place like an image with it. So we're not here to replace leather. I do not have like anything against people wearing leather. I personally think leather is also a very good product, but we can create, an alternative that, like I said, that's leather-like, you know. So it doesn't have to, we will never replace leather. Leather has been around for thousands of years, so that's not really our point, but we do want to provide an alternative, because we also see that there's a growing vegan market, and who don't want to use leather, and it is nice to have an alternative also for them. And just like I said, for people that are more aware of the damage that leather might do, it's nice to maybe try and reduce that in this way as well. But to replace leather, it's never going to happen, and we don't aim to do that either. We just want to provide an alternative. So.
Thank you. Extremely inspiring. Good luck to your company, and I'm hoping to wear my fruit leather shoes soon.
We'll see.
Thank you a lot.